Okay, everybody, let's do a little math today in the STEM lab, shall we? As you can see up here, I have an idle game, I have exponential idle, and I have business empire. And these are three of my favorite games. They're not anything special. They're not lots of fun colors and stuff like that. And a lot of this stuff is all brain pattern, IQ recognition, developing patterns of they create their own patterns. Here, for example, we can just start clicking on this here. Something here. Get her going. It didn't do anything for us. It just gave us an FT and a way to, which is going up here. Nothing really yet. But as soon as I click this variable, I'm going to get this start to go. And this is going to do something here, I hope. I usually go to like 25 or 50 just to keep it simple. You could tap this indefinitely, but it's not going to do anything for you. At the moment here, I'm just picking up a little bit, but but that'll come back down later. And this is also kind of ripping away. I don't remember. Oh yeah, I usually go by levels. It's been a while since I played, but as soon as we pick this up here, we can see we're going to start to develop that back down. It just drove us into the ground. Now that's an important thesis. Now what you're doing is actually something very different. You know, you're taking these, you're letting time develop. Remember, on this, we don't have time. We only know the market by whatever limit they designed this game, which is going to be important. We'll get into it here in a second about, some other things that we're doing. But remember, this isn't giving us a time. This is its own time increment. This is its own time increment, and this one's only based in the in this local universe where it has it. I don't think it's hooked up to the stock market as far as these names are concerned. But we'll get back into that here in a minute because this is basically what we're doing with our account. We're saying we don't have any money. We don't have any ideas. We have to do this development, this game development, this app, this game right here. This is basically what we're doing. And there are some people who can play these and get a score. But what are you scoring against? Right? Like, you know that the money's got to be up. You know that I've been playing this for a while. You know that this has to be what it is, and you get there by tapping. But let's say that's not what we wanted to do. Let's say we were just trying to get this thing where it does tell us some things. Money earned by clicking is 104, and that was the initial thing. Plus, I was doing weekends, $100 every week, something like that. But you don't need to do that. That's your own exponential idol about how you want this idea to work before you take it to the business standpoints. Your hoodie coffee cup factory that's eventually going to go into IT later on, or branch into the factory that's what they are. Some driver systems, whether it be getting them back and forth and work and figuring out the math, or doing this, that they're going to play in effect if you get this programmed right, because we need that to all be to one hub. And you would think about this from a computer engineer, the software developer or something like that, because that's basically what this is. Now this could go hardware. You could reverse engineer the needs of the computers off of one of these. And so in a way, that's what we're about to do here. Let me just get these things out of here. I'm probably skating over a bunch of stuff here, but I want to talk about how you want to set up your paper trades, right? I wanted to bring this up into, let's see here. Let's get over to paper trades. So something you could practice for free that is actually inside of the stock market that you can actually do. So we come down here in the menu, into paper trades. Okay, and I'm starting a new one apparently here. No, I'm not. And I set this up on Friday, so I'm waiting until Monday. And these are a lot of equities, a lot of things like that, and we can come back through on our wish list, and you set that up that way. Instead of $1,000,000, you give yourself a limit. I went 2,500, right? $2,500 because I want to do the math on how hard this is, right? We want to be able to see, well, what kind of indexes are we doing, right? And that's the first part. Now, how do you know what to set up, right? This is my ether page, so these are going to be a bit expensive. Or excuse me, my locker room relative to any type of positions that I have of everything health that I have access to. Well, let's do a better one. Something that's not my strong suit there. I tried to set them up better. We'll get into the farmhouse, goat path, and seventh later. Here will be our paper trades when we get to it. But let's take tech for example, and you can see here I did M1, M2, MN. These are the momentum. They are probably volatility, and I looked at it like a tech. And then tech P, Q. Are they flat? Are they up and to the right, or are they a very nice 45-45? And I separated them into that, and then I come back through and I hit the tech for good momentums like that solid day driver 5-day thing, and this very long aspect where it has those in it, and I put them into this section. But again, how do you know what you want? Wow, that's a bit expensive for what I'm doing in here. But you can see that would be a first problem that we're going to have. And so where do you go? Where do you even know to go to begin to see some of this material? Well, usually what I like to do, and again, this is all that game theory. Nobody's going to give you scores for this, right? You're not getting points from here. You're just designing something that will have points to it later on if we do this. And so instead of here, I don't necessarily look for the colors up and down, or whether it's up or down, or the market movers or anything like that quite yet. We'll get back into that here in a minute, but we're just trying to get familiar with the market, trying to build some stuff where how do you deal with all those market diagrams, right? So what I like to do is I like to come through the sectors, and I'll go, all right, well, what about the sectors are inside of here? They're individually the names within the sector. On my cell phone it does a little different, but you get all sectors with inside of it, and you just click on this and it'll give you all that kind of stuff. And whether they're red or green right now, it might be relative to the day. We can check that here. So that's basically what I did. You're not just trying to hit all the green stocks. Let's get back here to the watch list, because this is what you're first doing. And so for me, what I did, I don't know why she's like that, but what I did was I took 150. I just said I want 150 stocks that look like they're in that area and in the price range $0 to $100. Now you could change that limit. Nobody's giving you that limit. You got to figure that out. Later on, it's an equal opposite kind of thing, but different. It's to say, well, I have $2,500. Do you put that all in one stock? Do you put that all in two stocks? With a smaller stock or a smaller weight, you can get more stocks on it with potentially a raise on it. The higher you go in price, the fewer shares you get, but the return you get on that is much better. And it's relative, right? It's not like, well, one's going to be faster than the other. It's just on those bigger stocks like that, they momentum in that way at the same speed as the smaller ones, but with a higher ratio, I guess is how you'd explain it, plus XYZ, the popularity index with it. And that's kind of what you're looking at here. I'm sure not a lot of you know Fizz, but you probably heard of Costco before. And that's a real popular name in terms of the way you play that out here about what that price is and how often it comes up. Is that something you like? Well, put that name in there. That's one of the 150 that you need to get any score card going about what the system is. Now later on, we can check that too. You're going to go through that. You're going to go through sectors, all the tech, health, insurance, retail, metals, banking, customer goods, customer staples, and you're going to get a lot of that customer staple stuff. Actually, it's a larger market for me. I found out that that's pretty much what I knew more about, probably because it's a lot of this, but the bankings and industries are these really heavy numbers. They're like hundreds, 200s, and you get a lot of them in that sector. And that's not, you're working your way to build into that. Eventually we'll need to change this portfolio. We're going to have to reevaluate at some point in time. But remember, now that you've done all that, some things are going to happen. First, I do my tech systems, and I my tech, my around town stocks, right? And then after this, you don't have to do both of them like that. That was just a tech thing that I was doing a better way to, or a more precise way to break it down into a final section where you feel very comfortable about those choices. Plus, think about how many times you're going through these names, looking at the charts on the on the max, on the day. There's a big difference it just doesn't mean this. I might be in a position where I need some kind of alternate, right? I need something else to balance out my system, but the stocks that I picked on my Sherpa's Gold Path or weren't doing it for me anymore. So I want the volatility, all that up and down for the short period of time I'm going to be in there. But I'm not marking it. I'm not upgrading it or downgrading it into that field. And you'll see things. Usually my M1s are, let's see if we can take a look at it here. Come on. There you go. See if we can look at her on the max. Yeah, see? That could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. This could be primed later on, but the name isn't super huge, right? So that's a reason to give it an M1. If this was an M2, maybe I'd actually start to see this. They got a lot of the same market diagram. Remember, IQ is about pattern recognition here. And there's some notation that they're not all going to obey that way. You got to look at the market. You got to look at what's going on. Try to see if that'll slip in there. Now, we haven't really talked about educational or industrial buys yet, institutional buys yet. But that's something you can consider later on when we get to the price scanner, which this doesn't really have. We have to go make our own. I prefer actually, let's see if I got it in here. There's a price scanner I really like. I don't have it up here. I should have grabbed that before I come in here. But it's a 6 months price scanner that just gives me the name, and I can price in the price of the stocks, and it'll just give me things in there, which this really doesn't have. So we'll get into computer programming later, Hello World or Python, right? Because that's basically what you're trying to reverse engineer. But here you have this recombination and acceleration problem. This can work. This can work to accelerate you very far, very fast if you go ahead and start to put things in it. That's going to give this a lot of momentum. Whether it's good momentum or bad momentum, if it's not spinning correctly, there you go. But let's see if we can... we got to go back to something a little bit more heavy here. Again, I prefer the around town number. Okay, because these are great names. But is Disney what it is? Well, you gotta kind of look at the names as you're putting them in charts. But once you get that done, you're gonna just kind of blindly blow through everything. It looks like a tech, looks like an around town, could be in the cart, which is a little different. And Disney is something that's hard to put in the cart, but there you go as far as how you might want to break this down. It'll matter, maybe customer goods are up or industrials are down or something, and you want to change off your index. You want to make a new a model for that because you found out off of these limits it didn't work, and then you want to delete the whole thing and start over, right? But again, that was one of my notes. I just wanted to make you sure that you understood that there is a game theory to this, even if you're not getting a score like idle or exponential idle or some of the limits that are in the business empire game. Very fun. I like it. But there, again, if you're not staying active to information, then you're just playing an app game. And they are vastly different from one another. But you can do all of that same stuff here. And just to finish off here, let's see if I can just look at the paper trades one more time. I want my position, how to see it. Yeah, performance. Right there. And it'll give you a little chart of how your trades were going. It'll give you, like how much money you put in, how much you're up, your percentages and stuff like that. And that's when once you start it, you'll figure it out. Well, she just drops right over. Well, again, reset your feet, get her going again, see if you can decide what gives you this, some kind of angle up and right. That's the game. That's what you're looking for here. And when you start to feel comfortable with that, maybe then your, stocks will change by then potentially. But the market's not. And you got to look at it like that to make sure that you could now take that and say, okay, that's what it was. That was what I started the paper trade. Here we are today. The same way you would have integrated momentum onto those, start to bring over into your new portfolio. Be careful. The way you weights and plated it here, if you build that 2,500 off into something, that's gonna, $10,000 is where you're at. You just can't jump into this with $10,000 or the thought. I'm not saying these are real dollars, and that's not going to affect the market. In paper trades, it doesn't. But when you do that in the real market, your shorter's algorithm is going to change. Your stuff's going to be there. Certainly without this, without a plan, you plan to fail. So that was my note. I'll catch you on the next one.